Hello and welcome to another podcast on Unicate Talks called Inflammation and Chronic Disease. This is part one of a two-part episode, so be sure to stick around. In this episode, we are going to break down the science shaping health, medicine, and the way we understand the human body. I'm Claire, Head of Student Services at Unicate College, and today we're exploring a fundamental process that is both vital for survival and a major driver of chronic disease: inflammation. Inflammation is the body's natural defense mechanism. It protects us from infections, injuries, and toxins, but when it becomes uncontrolled or chronic, it can contribute to arthritis, cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative conditions, and metabolic disorders. Now, you may be wondering, how does inflammation work? What makes it transition from a protective response to a damaging force in the body? And what does the latest science tell us about its connection to long-term health? In this episode, we'll explore the biology of inflammation, the immune system's role, and how chronic inflammation is now considered one of the biggest contributors to modern diseases. Inflammation is the result of a complex immune response. When the body detects an infection, injury, or harmful stimulus, it triggers a cascade of biochemical reactions designed to neutralize the threat and begin the healing process. This response is controlled by the immune system, which releases signaling molecules called cytokines to recruit white blood cells and promote tissue repair. These cytokines act as messengers, telling the immune system where to respond and how aggressively to react. There are two types of inflammation: acute and chronic. Acute inflammation is short-term and beneficial. Think of a cut that turns red and swells. This is your body's way of sending immune cells and nutrients to heal the wound. Once the injury is repaired, the inflammation subsides and the body returns to normal. Chronic inflammation, on the other hand, is long-term and harmful. It occurs when the immune system remains activated, even when there is no real threat. This leads to ongoing damage to tissues and organs, contributing to diseases such as rheumatoid arthritis, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and even cancer. A major breakthrough in medical research has been identifying the key inflammatory molecules involved in chronic disease. Scientists have found that interleukin-6, also known as IL-6, and C-reactive protein, also known as CRP, are some of the most critical drivers of long-term inflammation. Studies in the Journal of Inflammation Research show that elevated CRP levels are a predictor of cardiovascular disease, stroke, and even early mortality. In the case of arthritis, inflammation damages the joints by breaking down cartilage and triggering autoimmune responses. Rheumatoid arthritis, for example, is caused by the immune system mistakenly attacking joint tissues, leading to severe pain and mobility issues. One of the biggest challenges in medicine today is identifying why inflammation persists in some individuals and not in others. Scientists now understand that chronic inflammation is influenced by multiple factors, including genetics, lifestyle, diet, gut health, and environmental exposures. One emerging area of research is the connection between inflammation and metabolic disorders. A study in Nature Medicine found that obesity is directly linked to chronic inflammation due to the way fat cells release pro-inflammatory cytokines. This research suggests that inflammation is not just a symptom of obesity. It may actually be a driving factor behind insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. Beyond metabolic diseases, inflammation is also linked to neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Researchers at Harvard Medical School discovered that chronic inflammation in the brain can accelerate cognitive decline by damaging neurons and impairing synaptic function. This has led to new studies exploring whether anti-inflammatory treatments can slow the progression of neurodegenerative diseases. One key challenge in studying inflammation is that it is not easy to measure directly. Doctors often use biomarkers such as CRP and pro-inflammatory cytokines to assess inflammation levels in the body. Advanced imaging techniques like MRI and PET scans are also being used to detect inflammation in joints, the brain, and arteries. Science is evolving in its understanding of inflammation, but research continues to show that lifestyle factors play a major role in modulating inflammation. A poor diet, high in processed foods, sugars, and unhealthy fats, triggers inflammatory responses that can contribute to chronic disease. In contrast, nutrient-rich diets with anti-inflammatory properties can help regulate the immune response. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that a Mediterranean diet rich in olive oil, fish, nuts, and leafy greens can significantly reduce inflammatory markers in the bloodstream. Emerging research also suggests that gut health plays a major role in regulating inflammation. Scientists have discovered that a diverse gut microbiome helps control immune function, whereas an imbalance in gut bacteria, known as dysbiosis, can trigger systemic inflammation. This has led to increased interest in probiotics, prebiotics, and fermented foods as potential tools for managing inflammation. As we wrap up this episode, there's one more critical aspect to cover, which is the bigger picture of inflammation and why it remains one of the most complex challenges in modern medicine. As this podcast is coming to an end, I want to take a moment to talk about education. If you're interested in exploring the science behind inflammation, its connection to disease, and the latest research in health sciences, Unicate College offers courses in clinical nutrition, biomedical science, and medical research. Whether you're looking to deepen your expertise or start a new career in healthcare, explore your options at Unicate College. Conclusively, inflammation is one of the most complex and widely studied processes in medicine today. From its role in immune defense and wound healing to its impact on chronic disease, we now know that inflammation is a double-edged sword, essential for survival but dangerous when unchecked. We've covered how inflammation develops and its links to major diseases, but there's still much more to explore. In part 2 of this series, we'll turn our attention to how science is addressing chronic inflammation, from biologic drugs and dietary interventions to phytotherapy and cutting-edge treatments. If this episode has sparked your curiosity, stay tuned for the next discussion, where we'll explore how inflammation can be managed, treated, and even prevented through the latest scientific advancements. Thank you for joining me on Unicate Talks, where we break down the latest in health and science.